Before we start, I just want to make sure I'm understanding this right, I said, my voice flat but steady. You're accusing me of falsifying numbers. Deirdre from HR sat across the table, hands folded like she was reading from a script. Yes, there are discrepancies in client reports that originated from your account. After an internal review, we reviewed the data, Vance cut in, that smug little tilt in his head like he'd already won, and found repeated inconsistencies over the last 2 quarters. My jaw clenched. I'd spent 6 years at this company, 6 damn years of skipped vacations, overnight reports, and being the team player every time someone else bailed. And now I'm getting this, a shove out the door, like I was some intern who fudged a spreadsheet. Quick note, before we go further, tell me where you're watching from. Deirdre slid a stack of papers toward me. If you sign today, we'll provide 2 weeks severance and a neutral reference. It's a clean exit. I didn't even look at the papers. I looked at Vance. His tie was crooked. He always got sloppy when he thought he was safe. I pulled my phone out of my pocket, unlocked it. Before I sign anything, you should probably see this. I tapped open an email folder labeled Insurance Audit Trail. Deirdre leaned forward. I flipped the screen so they could both see. There's a spreadsheet in here logging every altered report, every time it was touched outside business hours, and every instance your name, I jabbed my finger at the header, shows up in the system logs. Vance went still. Deirdre blinked. I scrolled down. See these timestamps? Every Tuesday and Thursday night, right after hours. You told us you were running maintenance, but I pulled the server access logs. You weren't fixing anything. You were rewriting revenue. No, that's... Vance started, but his voice cracked. I've got the whole damn trail. You want to talk internal review? You missed the one person who actually kept receipts. Deirdre's hand dropped from the papers like they were on fire. Vance turned pale, not just nervous, ghost white, because he knew I had him. I stood up, slid my phone back in my pocket and said, if I'm getting fired, you better call legal first, because we're not done here. Then I walked straight out of that office and left them in silence. I didn't go to my desk. I didn't pack a box. I walked straight to the elevator, hit the button for the 13th floor, and waited. The second the doors opened, I headed to legal. Michelle, the company's lead counsel, was already watching her inbox when she looked up and saw me. It's all there, I said, dropping a flash drive on her desk. Backups, logs, spreadsheets, everything. She picked it up like it was hot. What exactly am I looking at? Proof Vance has been cooking numbers and targeting top performers, and I've already CC'd it to ethics too. Her eyebrows went up. You didn't come to get fired. No, I came to flip the damn table. Within the hour, legal came charging down to HR like the floor was on fire. Right behind them was Gary from ethics, red in the face, holding a printed copy of the email thread I'd sent. Vance was still in the conference room when we got back. He was pacing like a caged dog. Deirdre looked like she was praying for a sinkhole. Everyone sit down, Michelle said. We've got a situation. Deirdre opened her mouth. Michelle cut her off. No, you sit, and you listen. We packed into the room, me, legal, ethics, Deirdre, Vance. Someone patched in the regional director, Ronald Benson, from Dallas. He showed up on screen, sipping a latte, and looking like someone just told him his house was on fire. I stood up. I wanted on record that I warned this company 3 months ago. I submitted a report about numbers being changed after hours. It went nowhere. Michelle nodded. We found the email. It was buried. I turned to Vance. Let's talk about the 5 women whose numbers dropped mysteriously under your supervision. Careful, he said, trying to keep his voice even. No, I'm done being careful. I pulled performance reports from the past year. You adjusted every one of theirs right before quarterly reviews. Meanwhile, you promoted 3 guys with lower sales and less time here. You padded their stats. Same login. Same time window. Every damn time Vance tried to talk, but ethics jumped in. Is this accurate? Emails, timestamps, security logs, I said. Every alteration came from Vance's login, Tuesday and Thursday nights. After hours, Ronald leaned into his webcam. Is there any reason your login was used for unauthorized changes? Vance stammered something about shared terminals and clerical errors. Michelle turned to me. What's the financial damage? I ran the math. In my case alone, 44 grand over 3 quarters. You multiply that by 5, that's over 200 grand in lost bonuses, just among women in my department. Promotions, too. This isn't just fraud, it's discrimination. The room went silent. Then Deirdre, barely audible, said, We didn't know. You should've, I snapped. It was your job to know. Michelle stood. We're pausing all terminations effective immediately. We'll need to launch a formal investigation. I looked right at Vance. You said I made the team look weak when I asked about that missed bonus. You said I didn't understand how performance was evaluated. His mouth opened, but nothing came out. Gary from Ethics pulled out his phone. We're freezing Vance's access. Now, by the time I left that room, Vance looked like a statue. Deirdre had sweat bleeding through the armpits of her blouse. I almost felt bad. Almost. I walked out of there with my head high and both middle fingers mentally raised. Because if they wanted war, I'd already launched the first strike. Monday morning, I walked into the lobby expecting security to block me. Maybe hand me a box of my stuff or slide over some final paperwork. Instead, 2 guys in suits were waiting near the elevator. One of them looked at me and said, "You're needed upstairs." That was new. We rode up in silence. Not a word, no eye contact. When the doors opened on the executive floor, it was dead quiet. Carpeted, cold, and expensive. No cheap frame posters like downstairs. Just glass, steel, and silence. They led me to a door at the end of the hall. One of them knocked once and opened it. Inside was a small office. No windows, no trophies or plaques. Just a desk, 2 chairs, and a woman in a black blazer flipping through a file marked confidential. She looked up. "You must be the man who flipped my company upside down." "Depends who's asking." "Lorraine Templeton," she said, standing up and offering her hand. CEO. Her grip was solid. No fake smile. No fake anything, really. Just all business. "Have a seat." I sat. She closed the folder. "I've reviewed the logs, the emails, your spreadsheet. My legal team's been working non-stop since Friday, and frankly, you uncovered a disaster we should have caught years ago." I didn't say anything. I just waited. She leaned forward. "So here's what I'm offering. Back pay. Full. A formal apology, if that matters to you. Director-level title, and a seat on the performance review committee. You'd report directly to me. That hit harder than I expected. Why not just pay me to go away?" She met my eyes, didn't blink. "Because that's what cowards like Vance would do. And I'm not in the business of covering for cowards." I looked around the office. Bare walls, clean desk, no distractions. She wasn't here to impress me. She was here to get shit done. "You really want to fix this?" "I do." "Then I want full access," I said. "All divisions. Full audit of the tracking systems. Every department, every log, every change." "That's a big ask." "That's the only ask." She paused, then nodded once. "You'll lead the audit. Starting today. You'll have what you need." She slid the folder across the desk. Inside were the terms. I didn't even flinch. I signed it. "Someone will show you to your office." That night, I walked into a new space on the 11th floor. No more cubicles, no more open concept crap. Just a closed door with my name on it and a keycard reader that clicked when I swiped. The walls were bare. The air was still. But the second I sat down at the desk, I didn't feel relief. I felt fire. Not like I'd survived something, like I was just getting started. Like I was building a damn firewall between the rot and everything good that was still left standing. First thing I did was call in 3 people I trusted. 2 from Dota Integrity, 1 from DevOps. Quiet workers, no ladder climbers. Just the kind of people who actually gave a damn about fixing things. We locked down a corner office and got to work. I gave them access to everything Lorraine approved. Past logs, back-end reports, even archived review data. We ran a comparison across 5 years of performance records. Within 3 days, we found 7 more cases of tampering. That's when Connor's name popped up. Connor, the guy who got my promotion, Vance's golfing buddy. His logs were full of red flags, inflated revenue, backdated calls, phantom clients that were never billed. Before we even confronted him, he sent in a resignation email and vanished. Didn't even take his stupid coffee mug. We didn't chase him. We weren't there to burn every bridge. We were there to build something that couldn't be burned. So, we started over. We scrapped the old tracking software and built a new one from scratch. No more back-end editing. Every data entry had a fingerprint, time-stamped, signed, locked, tamper-proof logs, blockchain-style verification, alerts for any change made. If someone even tried to fudge numbers, 5 people got notified. We opened up real-time dashboards. Employees could track their own metrics, see when and where their numbers were pulled. Clients could see billing performance too, raw and unfiltered. No more smoke and mirrors, just the truth. Word got around fast. People stopped whispering. They started talking loud. Tanya from healthcare showed up at my office one afternoon. She didn't even sit down. She just stood there, holding a printout of her past year's data. I thought I was crazy, she said. I almost quit last year. Why didn't you? I needed the health insurance. She looked up at me, eyes glassy but hard. Thank you for making me feel sane again. I nodded, didn't try to give her some inspirational line, just said the truth. I didn't do this for revenge. She raised an eyebrow. I did it so no one else would get played the way I did. She nodded, quiet, then walked out, holding that file like it was proof she finally existed. After that, I didn't need pep talks or fake motivation. We weren't just fixing a system. We were rewriting the damn rules. We were finally getting traction. New system rolled out. Transparency up. People stopped looking over their shoulders and started looking ahead. For once, I thought maybe we were over the worst of it. Then came Jenkins, massive account, nationwide rollout, millions in assets and recurring revenue. Lorraine wanted me to lead the pitch, full strategy, projections, client modeling, tech integration. No fluff. I worked nights, I worked weekends, didn't care. I wanted this win to stick. Pitch day, 8:12 a.m. I sat down at my desk, opened the presentation file, and stopped breathing. Key numbers were off, way off. Projected growth was showing negative margins. Budget files were gone, forecasts erased, client notes, the ones I'd built from months of calls, missing, not misfiled, deleted. I checked the audit log. The file was accessed overnight, 11:42 p.m. I didn't panic. I picked up the phone and called our internal IT lead. Get me a trace on the Jenkins deck. I need to know who touched it and when. He called back 19 minutes later. Noah, trading desk. His login hit the system at 11:42. Downloaded the working folder and modified 3 sub-files. Noah from Brent's team. Yeah, that Noah, I didn't wait. I called legal and security. We met outside Noah's cubicle. 3 of us, no warning. Noah, I said, we need to talk. Now he looked up like he'd just been caught stealing from the cash drawer. I didn't do anything. Don't bother. We have the logs. You accessed restricted files and sabotaged a pitch. Security stepped closer. Let's go. He stood, grabbed his badge, but turned to me before they walked him out. You think you're changing things, he said, but all you're doing is pissing off the wrong people. I didn't blink. You done? He leaned in, bitter to the bone. You've made enemies. Good, I said. Then I'm doing it right. He spat on the floor and let security walk him out. I turned back to legal. I've got 63 minutes before this pitch starts, so unless you've got more saboteurs to round up, I need a damn war room. We ran. I pulled in my team, pulled backups, scraped email threads, reassembled projections from raw data. Every desk became a station. One rebuilt the financials, one pulled client history from archived calls, one rebuilt the entire slide deck from screenshots I'd emailed to myself last week. We printed hard copies in case the system went dark again. At 9:29, we walked into the Jenkins meeting with 30 seconds to spare. I gave that pitch like my life depended on it, and we landed it, full contract, full terms. Jenkins even asked if we'd help them build a similar transparency system on their side. We shook hands, smiles all around. But as soon as we walked out, I knew what that morning really meant. The Jenkins win should have shut people up. But instead, the quiet backlash started to crawl in. First, 3 legacy clients pulled their accounts. No warning, no explanation. just polite emails and vague phrases like strategic alignment and long-term comfort. Then 2 board members resigned. One of them had been here since the Reagan administration. The other, Vance's old mentor, Figures. Whispers started floating through the halls. Too much transparency, too aggressive, alienating old partners. I heard someone say, "This isn't how we've always done things." No shit. I sat in my office one night with the door closed, reading a fresh report on client churn and wondering if I'd gone too far, pushed too hard, burned too many bridges. Maybe revenge wasn't clean. Maybe I just lit the whole thing on fire and hoped it burned in the right direction. Then Imani from estate planning knocked. I waved her in. She looked charged up, like she just ran 2 flights of stairs. "I need 5 minutes." "You got 3?" She dropped a folder on my desk. 12 new clients, all signed in the last 6 weeks, all on female-led portfolios. I flipped through the report. Big names, steady revenue. "You're telling me..." "Clients are asking for advisors who look like them, who won't gaslight them, who won't sell them garbage just to make quota. They're coming here because of what you built." I leaned back. Let that sink in. She wasn't done. "And Zoe from retirement? She just landed Riverside pension. You know how long we've been chasing them? 4 years." I raised my eyebrows. "She walked in with our transparency report and closed it in one meeting." That was the shift. Not everyone liked the new system. But the people who did, they were ready to bet real money on it. I walked into the next leadership meeting with the folder in one hand and the client list in the other. "While we're wringing hands over who we're losing," I said, "we better start looking at who we're gaining." They tried to argue, said it was temporary, said the growth was concentrated. I shut them down. "No, it's deliberate. Clients aren't running from transparency, they're chasing it." I looked around the table. This isn't just a fight over old rules. This is a power shift, and if you're not ready for it, step aside. They didn't clap, they didn't nod, but no one argued either. I walked out and pulled the door shut behind me. The email hit my inbox on a Wednesday morning. Subject, Notice of Lawsuit. Vance versus TDB Group, and my name. I didn't even open the attachment right away. I just leaned back in my chair and let out a long breath. 9 months of silence from him. Not a word since he got booted. And now, he wanted $3.8 million for wrongful dismissal. Said I forged the audit trail. Said I framed him. Said the company caved to a vindictive employee with a personal agenda. Our legal team was already on it. "We're not worried," Michelle said. "The new system logs are bulletproof. Time-stamped, encrypted, chain-verified. Still, I knew what was coming. Character hits, credibility games, every dirty trick in the book. They dragged me through 2 weeks of depositions, hours in glass conference rooms with too much AC and too little oxygen, lawyers poking at my tone, my motives, my behavior. "Were you ever reprimanded for aggression? Why did you start collecting logs before reporting anything? Would you describe yourself as someone who holds grudges?" The same questions over and over, trying to paint me as unstable, paranoid, petty, but I kept my answers tight. Then came the session with Vance in the room. He walked in wearing a suit I swear he borrowed from a richer friend. Face puffy, tie crooked, still trying to act like the big man at the table. His lawyer opened with, "You seem to have kept unusually thorough records." "Why?" I sat up straight, locked eyes with Vance across the table. "My mom was a high school teacher," I said. "She reported harassment from a senior administrator. They fired her 3 months later for performance issues." The room went still. She had no proof. No paper trail, nothing to fight back with. So, when I started noticing things here, I remembered what she told me. Always keep receipts. I didn't blink, just stared straight through him. His lawyer looked down at his notes, didn't ask another thing for the rest of the session. 2 weeks later, the case was dropped. Quietly, terms sealed. All we knew was Vance signed a dismissal agreement and walked away with nothing. He never worked in finance again. I heard he applied at 2 firms in Seattle, 1 in Denver. All passed. Lorraine called me into her office on a Thursday afternoon. Same no-frills setup, same plain black folder on her desk. "I want you on the board," she said. "Head of Ethics and Accountability." I didn't react right away, just sat there, listening. "You've already done the job," she said. You just didn't have the title. I nodded. All right, but I'm not coming to sit quietly. I wouldn't ask you to. She handed me the paperwork. I signed it. Next board meeting, I sat at the table, not across from it, not outside waiting for updates. At the damn table, and I came loaded. First order of business, publish our internal equity data, hiring, promotions, pay gaps, representation, department by department, not just internal reviews, public release. You'd think I set the place on fire. This is insane. Too risky. What if the numbers are bad? I let them talk. Then I stood. If we hide the truth, we're no better than Vance. If you're scared of the numbers, you already know what they say. One of the board members, old money, deep pockets, leaned in. But why tell the world? Because transparency isn't a threat, I said. It's a warning shot to everyone who thinks they can keep playing dirty and stay protected. They debated for 40 more minutes. Then the vote came in, 7-4. It passed. We gave ourselves 6 months to prepare. Legal scrubbed everything for risk. Comms worked through the messaging, but we didn't water it down. When the report went live, it hit harder than we expected. Some gaps looked bad. Gender imbalance in 2 divisions, pay gaps in legacy teams. We didn't dodge it. We owned it. The next day, headlines started rolling in. TDB Group goes fully transparent on equity data. 3 weeks later, a major tech firm followed, then 2 investment firms in New York. Competitors started calling, asking how we built the system, asking if we could consult. For the first time, transparency wasn't a liability. It was a selling point. I sat in my office one night, lights off, staring at the dashboard we launched with the report. Real-time breakdowns, open access. Employees could check equity stats anytime. Clients could see our ethics track record just like they could see our financials. People thought accountability would kill trust. It did the opposite. 2 weeks after the ethics report dropped, I got an email from someone I'd never heard of. Subject: need help. Urgent, don't forward. Her name was Jordan, mid-level product lead at a tech company in Portland. She said she'd been tracking her numbers for 6 months, but something wasn't adding up. Her team kept hitting targets, but somehow bonuses were disappearing. Promotions went to guys who barely showed up. She saw our transparency report and took a shot in the dark. I called her that night. Tell me what you've seen, I said. She walked me through it. System logs showing edits she didn't make, quarterly summaries that didn't match the raw data, review notes that vanished from the internal portal. I listened, then said, okay, first thing, don't store anything on your work laptop. Personal drive only. She scribbled notes while I kept going. Track every report, screenshot it, save version history. Look at login timestamps, especially off-hours changes. If you have a shared drive, export logs weekly and compare. She was quiet for a second. This is insane, she said. I thought I was imagining things. No, I told her, you're wide awake. We spent almost an hour walking through her documentation plan. How to back up to cloud storage, how to tag edits, how to keep the receipts no one could bury. Before we hung up, she said, I don't even know how to thank you. You don't have to, I said. Just don't let them do to you what they did to me. After the call, I sat in the dark with the screen still glowing. That moment hit harder than any win I'd stacked in the past 2 years. Vance tried to erase me. The system tried to shut me up. But now, I was a resource, a name whispered in Slack channels, a thorn in the side of every manager who thought they could still cook the books and get away with it. Standing up cost me. I lost friends, lost sleep, lost parts of myself I won't get back. But I gained something else, reach. Real revenge isn't watching someone crash and burn. It's building a system so solid that no one like him can rise again. And watching people use it to fight back, that's what wins.